This is the Erbauer electric airless paint sprayer. It's a 600 watt 200 bar sprayer, but is it any good for concrete block walls and masonry paint? Let's find out. Got this as a refurb unit from Screwfix, so you save a few quid. It's never been out the box and used in anger, although somebody's clearly thrown away the instructions. Not overly complicated going by the picture on the box, so I think we'll be alright. Assembly takes about 10 minutes, and once it's together I don't think you'll ever take it apart again, except perhaps storing the hoses separately. The unit is compatible with Graco tips, although you do need to get an adapter, but at least it gives you the option to be able to spray different materials and different finishes. I have had some experience with sprayers before, and if I'm completely honest, they generally take too long to actually clean after you've used them, and you'd be better off just using a roller, taking your time and then throwing the roller away when you've finished. However, that's not practical when you've got such wall areas to cover like I have in this garage, and I've got a heck of a lot of this little masonry paint. So recommendations have been thin it down by 10%, which I've done here, and it took a heck of a lot longer to mix in that water than I imagined that it would. Then you prime the machine and just wait for all the air to get out and for the paint to be circulating both up the pipe and then down. And then here we go, we're actually getting some paint on the wall. Now again, apologies for the fact that my paint style is truly amateur and absolutely horrible. The flow of the paint doesn't particularly work great for masonry paint. It actually looked a lot neater than it does in this image. But what I did learn from this is to just get the paint on the wall. One of the great disadvantages of using a roller or a brush is constantly having to dip into the pot or dip into the roller tray and then put the roller or the brush on the wall. With a sprayer, when I realized that I could get the volume of paint onto the wall I wanted, the finish was to some degree less relevant. And in fact, I actually just touched it up with a paintbrush to make sure that it was in all the little sort of blowholes, the air holes that you have in the surface of the blocks. If this was a plastered wall, my technique would be a lot more measured. I wouldn't be waving this sort of wand around trying to get the paint wherever it is. I just found that this actually quite works for masonry paint. The nozzle that comes with the unit is pretty accurate in terms of getting it where you want it on the wall, especially when you're reasonably close up, which I thoroughly imagine the professionals will say you're far too close there, you need to take a step back. Hey ho. However, what I would note is the overspray. As you move deeper into the garage, the dust that's created you notice everywhere. In the end, I put the paint in neat without any dilution, and although it affected the spray, you wouldn't want it as a finish coat, by just neatening up with a brush it was perfectly acceptable. Cleaning the unit after use is exceptionally easy, especially if you've got a jet wash and an airline. Can't wait to use this on emulsion. I'm sure it'll do a splendid job.